Guys, this is kind of messed up. I'm 31 years old and I got banned from a pool. I got caught peeing in it. It was an Uber pool. But it's their fault for giving me all that water, right? I drive a lot for comedy. Every time I go to a new place, I always want to sample the local fare. I was in Maryland, tried the crabs, very succulent and delicious. I was in West Virginia, where I tried the chlamydia. Not nearly as good. Don't go to West Virginia, folks. Don't do it. I was in New Jersey at this very trashy venue. In between the shows, I went to the men's bathroom and I saw a pregnant woman doing lines of cocaine right off the urinal. Now, I thought about saying something to her or the staff, but she offered me some. And in her defense, it was a really small amount of coke. It was just the baby bump. Do you guys know that cocaine use was so prevalent in the 80s that actors were just doing it on set? Like if you needed a boost during one of your scenes, you would just pause for a second and go, "Line!" Thank you. Folks, I'm pretty excited. This weekend is actually my 1-year wedding anniversary. Thank you, thank you. My wife and I decided for presents, we're gonna get each other gag gifts. That's our thing, folks. And guys, to be honest with you, I can't wait for this blowjob to finally happen. I feel like that was a bit rude. I should have warned you that joke was coming. Giving you a little heads up. My wife and I, we had one of those COVID weddings that you've been hearing about. But we decided to do the smart thing, keep it small, strictly family. That way we could share this beautiful day with those who meant most to us. And they could share with us their inheritance. Just saying, each day that they live, that number gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Folks, oh, thank you. Give it up for delivery here at the Sandman. Dude is a fucking ninja. I didn't even hear him until he was right here. Sir, I want you on my esports teams, all right? We'll get it done. Need that headset with the footsteps. Anyways. Folks, I'm not a millennial because I got the ring online. I'm a millennial because I use the coupon code. And I'll level with you folks, it hasn't expired yet. You can use it too. If you want to save thousands of dollars on a ring, you just sit down with your partner and you watch the movie Blood Diamond. Right? I'm not cheap, I'm ethical. That's how I'm selling it, folks. She said I could have any ring I wanted. So obviously when she asked me the same question, I was like, okay, any ring I want? Diamond cock ring. She was like, no, that would be too expensive. So we compromised with pubic zirconium. Worst part of our wedding, folks, was our gifts. My wife and I were both gifted COVID. I mean, I made it. But the lone clap. I mean, here's the thing, folks. It was pretty awkward, right? It was basically like getting an STD and having to call all the closest people you know, let them know about it. I remember spending that whole weekend just making this phone call like, thanks for coming, but you should probably get tested. I don't know, I think I got it from my mother-in-law. Yeah, I love you too, Grandma. Thanks again for the Vitamix. I hope you don't die. Best gift I got, though, folks, best gift by far was from my wife. She gave me health insurance. Pretty awesome stuff. Thank you, thank you. Finally got to get a physical, folks, and me having health insurance, going to the doctor meant this one thing. I had to find myself a new female doctor. Folks, I only go to female doctors because they have this thing called empathy and breasts. And those are like my 3 favorite things. But going through to this visit, I thought everything was normal. You know, I was getting my height checked, killed it. But then these next parts came up, and I thought everything was fine. But she sat me down towards the end of the visit, and she was like, Allan, I have to let you know, this was a year ago, folks. She's like, I have to let you know that you fall into the obese male category. Which I thought was pretty hurtful. Like, we barely know each other at this point. But I was like, fine. At this point, I had no problem letting her know that she looked a lot prettier in her WebMD profile picture. I mean, the filters and the makeup she was using was false advertising, folks. It was messed up. Pretty sure I'm the first person who's ever been catfished by a doctor. And here's the thing, folks. I picked her out because she was pretty. Because I realized something. You know, I'm getting older. I'm having more health problems. And I just wanted to find a doctor that was like so attractive that I could be excited for my yearly prostate exam. Like, that's a tough thing to do, but if you have some incentive, not so bad. Year 1, I walk in. She's looking at me, looking at my chart, looking at me. She's like, Allan, you seem a little young for this procedure. I'm like, come on, doc, we both know that age is just a number. Year 2, we've already established a rapport. She's excited to see me. She's like, oh my God, Allan, it's so great to see you. Assume the position. It's year 2, folks. I'm prepared. I'm wearing my tearaway pants with no underwear on underneath. She's like, assume the position. I'm like, pfft. But to be honest, I'm all talk. She sees me. I'm kind of shaking, a little nervous. She's like, Allan, are you ready? I'm like, yeah, baby, 3 fingers this time. What base do you think that is, by the way, the 3 fingers? 3rd and a half, close. It's the dugout. Yeah. I was at the doctor. I had to go over my family health history. That was always fun. I was like, yes, just so you know, my dad had heart disease. My mom's mom has schizophrenia. My aunt has breast cancer. She was like, oh, your aunt, breast cancer. Like, on which side was that? And I was like, I think it was the left one. Stage left. Now, I know some of you might think I'm a horrible person for that joke, but because of my aunt, I actually donate every year to the National Breast Cancer Coalition. You can clap if you want. Yeah, thank you. It's a one-time-a-year donation, so it is a lump sum. Come on, guys. Laughter is the best medicine. My uncle, he's a type 1 diabetic, and we recently got him one of those pumps. Now, unfortunately, his blood sugars haven't been getting much better, but his dick is huge now. Doctor, she said I need to get some blood work. I'm now working nights as a phlebotomist. You should pretend to know that joke. Like a lot of people, I set a lot of health goals during the coronavirus, didn't make them. But I have some good news for you guys. If you didn't accomplish your coronavirus goals, those goals actually roll over and become Delta goals. These are not use it or lose it goals. I realized I had some unrealistic expectations with my health, though. For instance, I wanted to lose enough weight to become white girl wasted. One thing I have been doing though, folks, I've been working on the definition of my arms. Do you mind if I show you real quick? Mind if I show you? Arms, a human upper body limb, the part between the shoulder and the wrist. Thank you. It's fine. I don't miss dating in my 20s. You know, everyone was doing it, doing lots of crazy stuff. But like, for me personally, it was a bit challenging because I was losing my hair at the same time, which meant I had to give up my favorite thing in the dating scene, tall women, because they would know. She knows a little too well. That's why you never called me back. But I'm 6'2". I could date a 5'2" girl for like 8 months. She would have no idea I was losing my hair. You just never give up the high ground. She gets up at dinner, you get up too. You play it off like a gentleman. But then 8 months and 1 day would go by. I'll get too comfortable. And I made the following mistake. I went down on her with the lights on. That's a very vulnerable position for a balding man. I could just tell she was hit with this mixture of pleasure and disappointment at the same time. But what I couldn't tell if she was putting her hand on my head because she was like just loving it or covering the bald spot. Did I just get roasted for my own fucking punchline? It was both, ma'am. Or it wasn't. I'm a bald white man. That is a tough skin color follicle combination right now in this country. A lot of people see me and they just assume the worst, right? They assume things like I'm a Nazi sympathizer, alt-right supporter, Duck Dynasty watcher, which I think is really messed up because I've never seen Duck Dynasty before. Now, if I could be honest with you folks, and honesty is part of the comedian's craft, I do blame the Jews for like everything, but that's because they're my parents. Which is a little different, right? That's like two very specific Jews, not just all of them. It's not right. I forgot my uncle, aunt, cousin, grandma. It's just like 5 or 6 just really manipulative, neurotic Jews trying to ruin my life. I do fall under the self-hating Jew stereotype. Does that make me an Ashken Nazi Jew? Yeah, it's getting worse, don't worry. My mom, typical neurotic Jewish mom, when I'm sick, she makes me this thing called chicken soup. It's a lot like chicken soup, but comes with a side of hourly phone calls to make sure I'm having enough liquids and to let me know what the Republicans are up to this week and to find out when she can have grandchildren. I dated this girl once, crazier than my mom, so I made an offhand comment. I was like, your mom's so crazy, she's kind of like a Jewish mom. She was like, that's a horrible thing to say. And I was like, that's a horrible thing to say. And we lived on happily ever after. I feel like I should have seen it coming, folks. Been more in tune with the anti-Semitism. She had your typical blonde hair, blue eyes, little Hitler mustache. And the signs were there all along, just in her front yard saying, no Jews allowed. I knew we were gonna have problems early on in a relationship. She found out I smoked marijuana. She didn't like that. She was like, I will not date a pothead. Potheads are the worst. And I was like, whoa, hold on a second. You can't say that. That's our word. I know when you say someone's a pothead, you mean they're lazy or degenerate. When I say Kevin's a pothead, I mean he's a really fucking cool guy. He's very creative. He's a musician. Lots of good vibes. She wasn't having it though. She was like, I won't date a pothead. Either you give up the pot or we stop dating. What was I supposed to do, folks? This was the day I took a stand and I actually stopped being a pothead and I became a liar. Yeah. Every day I would wake up and lie to myself, hang out with a few friends in the afternoon. We would tell some fibs. It's great. Before going to bed, I'd look myself in the mirror and say, this is okay. This is fine. Here's how I feel about marijuana, folks. I think if you smoke weed, if you smoke a lot of weed, my opinion of you is high. I was recently really high with a friend. We were splitting a rack of ribs, and he asked me for a wet nap, and I sent him to my waterbed. I recently started smoking weed every day, so my building manager doesn't suspect that I have a new pet skunk. You don't see a lot of athletic potheads. I've never seen one. It seems like you either have like ripped abs or you rip dabs. It's okay, these jokes are for like 4 people in the room, that's fine. You're my favorite 4. One of my friends is a preacher. He smokes weed before all his sermons. We call him the Puff Puff Pastor. I lost my job during COVID, folks. Did, like a lot of people. Believe it or not, before COVID hit, I was a full-time, not successful comedian. You might have not seen me on HBO or Comedy Central, not listened to my Spotify album or my iTunes. It was a tough time. You know, I applied for 9-to-5 jobs for 9 months. I was sending out applications, copying and pasting my resume into online applications, going on job interviews that were over the phone, Zoom interviews, round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. And then 9 months happened, and I finally got a job offer. But this company had the audacity to want to give me a drug test. And I was like, wait a second, we're in a pandemic right now. We're not supposed to go outside. And I just told you that I've been unemployed for 9 months. What the fuck do you think I've been doing this whole time? Needless to say, didn't get that job. It wasn't the heroin from that joke or the weed from the earlier jokes, folks. It was the thing with the poppy. Day of my drug test, I went out and had a bagel. Smoked a whole bag of opium afterwards. Folks, have you ever been so broke that you took your chess set to a pawn shop? That's when I hit rook bottom. Can't hear you, but thank you. Stayed home today, binged watched a bunch of horror movies. I think my favorite one was Pretty Woman. I don't know a lot about prostitution, but I know timeliness is important. Like, the worst thing you can do as a prostitute is be late. But it does beg the question, if a prostitute becomes pregnant, can she charge for a threesome? Just asking the questions, folks. Some of my Christian friends are always trying to sell people on the body of Christ. I don't know about you guys, but it sounds a lot like prostitution. What's your favorite Bible verse? Yell it out. These are pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good. Not as good as mine, though. My favorite Bible verse is the Bible verse Godzilla. Followed by Roe versus Wade. Folks, I am running out of time here, so let's get dirty. I recently saw my cousin for the first time in a while. Don't worry, it's not going to get dirty with him. Recently saw my cousin, and he was telling me that after lunch, all the kids go out onto the playground, and the teacher divides up the black kids on one side, the white kids on another side, and they engage in a peanut butter eating contest. I was like, wait a second. You're telling me that they're having racist Reese's races at recess? My cousin, he's half my age. This little ball of energy, always bouncing off the walls, doing goofy shit. And I'm like this, folks. Like, how's that saying go? We're just not cut from the same rabbi. Folks, this was a big year for me. This is the year I finally decided to name my penis. And I knew I had to name it something that made sense, so I took attributes about myself. It was like, my name is Allan, and I'm Jewish, so I went with Woody Allen. Wife hates the name. She's like, stop it. Stop calling it Woody Allen. I'm like, no, you stop it. In fact, if you don't stop it right now, we're getting in the car tonight, and I'm taking you back to the orphanage. Too soon? Too soon, ye? Sometimes I think I should have gone with the opposite name, folks. Instead of calling it Woody Allen, I could have called it Allan's Woody. Right? Sexually explicit Toy Story character. You pull on it, makes a fun noise. Just like, reach for the thigh. There's a snake in my boobs. Did somebody poison the glory hole? All right, guys, you've been an awesome crowd. I've been Allan Sidley. I'm selling books and mugs, all kinds of shit. Get the mugs. They're too fucking heavy to take home. Thank you so much.